Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be reacting to
Life in the worst versus the best city on earth.
City. This is an average city and this is the best city on earth. I'm going to show you the living differences in these cities and what makes this one bad, this one average, and this one perfect. These 5 pillars have determined the score for each of these cities: 98.4 for the best, 74.5 for the average, and just 30.7 for the worst. Now let me introduce you to Mohammed. He lives in the worst city on earth for livability, Damascus. In Damascus, even now, months after Assad's regime fell, stability still isn't where it needs to be for a capital city. Stability is the first pillar of 5. And Damascus scores only 20 out of 100 in this area, the lowest in the world. This means Mohammed needs to carefully
Does it
plan
list for
each
that?
time he leaves his house.
guess.
If he doesn't, he knows it might be the last time his family sees him. Years of civil war, terrorism, and unrest have shattered any sense of security here. Explosions are still present in the city. In July of 2023, a bomb near a Damascus shrine killed at least 6 people and wounded 20. Such incidents are common. It's a major part in why Damascus has been ranked the world's least livable city for so long. One evening, the electricity flickers out and Mohammed's apartment goes completely dark. Power outages have become routine here. Once a city of light, Damascus now goes dark for up to 20 hours a day. Mohammed sighs and lights a candle so his children can finish their homework, but Mohammed tries to maintain a routine. The following day, he navigates through morning traffic to get to work, a chaotic mix of cars and honking minibuses. Potholed roads make his commute an uncomfortable obstacle course. Fuel shortages have resulted in long lines at petrol
They look like
stations. Still,
bubbles.
Mohammed
They
feels
are
fortunate
bubbles.
to have work and a salary at all, given the collapsed economy of Syria. He knows public transport is scarce, and the old city buses rarely run, if at all. It's a far cry from the modern infrastructure one might expect from a capital city, and is why the Damascus infrastructure score is stuck below 35 out of 100. Mohammed finds it difficult to work today, as he can't stop thinking about his youngest son, who has a fever. In Damascus, hospitals and clinics are overwhelmed and under-equipped, but they managed to find an open clinic. But the medicine shortages meant the required antibiotics were only available on the black market at exorbitant prices. Prices Mohammed couldn't afford. Syria's health system has been shattered by conflict.
Wow.
Only 65% of hospitals and 62% of healthcare centers across Syria are fully operational. Doctors and nurses are in short supply, many having fled the country or being caught in the crossfire. It's the reason why Damascus scored just 29.2 out of 100 in healthcare, among the worst in the world. For Mohammed, these aren't just numbers. He's seen neighbors die for lack of timely medical care, and he prays his son will survive the fever. The local pharmacy shelves are often empty, and when his mother needed insulin, it took him weeks to obtain it through relatives abroad. Mohammed has no education, but he wants a different life for his children. His daughter is in school, but the school building has gaping cracks from past shelling, and classes are overcrowded, since many schools have been destroyed. Textbooks are outdated and in short supply. His daughter's teacher is dedicated, but even she struggles with class sizes of 50+ students. War has robbed this generation of consistent schooling. About half of Syrian children are missing out on education after nearly 14 years of civil war. This is the reason behind their 33.3 out of 100 education score, reflecting not the value placed on learning here, but the immense barriers to accessing it in a conflict zone. Still, Mohammed encourages his daughter to study hard. In the evenings, he helps her with homework by candlelight. He's determined that his children, if peace holds, will have a shot at a better future through their education. Before the war, Damascus was famed for its historical richness. Tourists wandered the old city, families picnicked in parks, and the nights were filled with the aromas of jasmine and the sounds of laughter in cafes. Today, much of that cultural life has withered. The environment has suffered too. Piles of uncollected trash lie in the streets, and air pollution from generators chokes the city. It's sad because Damascus is nestled in a fertile oasis known as a Ghouta, where olive groves, fruit orchards, and canopy forests once flourished. But even those have been scarred by fighting. But now on to the next pillar. Damascus has a culture and environment score of 40.5 out of 100, a low figure that captures
very
both the lack
sad.
of cultural outlets
is
and the
sad, yeah.
environmental decay. Culture survives in the small things. Mohammed's family still
It just kind of shows you the aftermath of war. It's
observes traditional Syrian holidays at home, and his wife cooks the recipes their grandparents loved, even if some ingredients are now hard to come by. These small rituals are acts of normalcy in an abnormal situation. This is his home, and he has memories in every corner of it. Damascus is the least livable city in the world, but Mohammed doesn't need an index to tell him that. He lives it. He hopes that one day stability will return, the lights will stay on, and Damascus might begin to climb from the bottom of that livability list. Until then, each day is a test of endurance, and each small joy, like a quiet night, feels like a victory against the odds. Bucharest. A morning in Bucharest brings a very different scene. This is Andai. His phone alarm buzzes at 6:30 a.m. in his modest apartment on the outskirts of the city. The room is a bit chilly. It's early spring and the central heating is still unpredictable. Bucharest's aging heating system often leaves residents in the cold. On bad days in winter, he's had to rely on an electric space heater. Still, compared to Mohammed's situation, Andrei's life is one of relative comfort and peace. Bucharest is Romania's capital and not a war zone. It's a peaceful European city that has slowly been improving its infrastructure and services. Bucharest sits roughly in the middle of the pack, ranked 99th out of 173 cities with an overall score of 74.5. It's far from the utopia you will see later, but is also a world apart from what Mohammed experiences in Damascus. Andrei doesn't think of his life in terms of rankings. He just knows that Bucharest feels okay. It's not amazing and not terrible either. It's pretty average. After all, his city only recently climbed into the top 100, having jumped 20 places in the rankings in a single year thanks to gradual improvements. Like many Bucharesters, Andrei starts his day with a commute to work. He steps into his car, bracing himself for the notorious traffic. Bucharest has one of the worst traffic congestion levels in the world. In fact, Bucharest was ranked the 8th most congested city globally and 4th in Europe. Andrei experiences this firsthand. His 12-kilometer commute to his IT office downtown routinely eats up 45 minutes to an hour of his morning. Andrei often debates whether to drive or take the metro. The metro is fairly efficient, and Andrei finds it a viable alternative on heavy traffic days. Still, the metro
But I don't know, the traffic issue, I feel like it's in a lot of cities though. So what, the best city doesn't have traffic? If city doesn't have traffic, I feel like it's
Yeah.
not too livable. Like not too livable. Not too many people live there. I feel like
Mm.
traffic and rush hours just comes with people living there. Especially like in old European cities, you can't just make more roads. Like everything is so compact. Because from back in the day, that's what it used to be. Like that's cities expanded outwards. It wasn't like planned. Oh, let's build a city and start from scratch. So it's I don't know if it's fair to judge based on traffic that say the city always mid.
doesn't reach his suburban neighborhood, so driving remains his best door-to-door option. Bucharest's infrastructure challenges are well known, and they drag on the city's livability. The index reflects this with an infrastructure score you can't brag about. Eventually, Andrei reaches his office. Slightly late, but that's a normalcy. Over lunch with colleagues, conversation drifts to the state of things in Romania. They joke about political bickering and the latest corruption scandal. The stability of the political climate is generally fine, even if trust in politicians is low. In terms of stability, Bucharest is worlds apart from what Mohammed experiences in Damascus. There are no wars or daily threats to safety here. Crime exists, but violent crime is relatively uncommon. Andrei feels safe walking the streets, though he's mindful of pickpockets. Romania has been a stable democracy since the 1990s revolution that overthrew communism, and as an EU and NATO member, the country's security environment is stable. The stability score for Bucharest is solidly above average, reflecting low risk of conflict or terrorism. As Andrei and his friends discuss weekend plans, they don't worry about bombs or fighting. Their concerns are more about whether it might rain on their hike or if inflation will drive up beer prices. Stability for them is taken for granted, even if government effectiveness isn't perfect. After work, Andrei has a doctor's appointment. He heads to a clinic and inside it's clean but a bit outdated. See, Romania's healthcare is a mixed bag. On one hand, basic care is accessible and inexpensive as state insurance.
Initially, when I saw this video, I thought he's gonna go. I didn't know we're gonna have like people's like kind of like the situations.
I thought maybe we would see like charts or something, like numbers, comparisons. He did give us numbers like for those pillars in the first one, but now for the
No,
mid city,
yeah.
I don't see those pillars. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just. But it's interesting storytelling. I
Yeah.
don't mind it. It's kind of puts in perspective what one's life in a day feels like in those cities.
Covers most costs. On the other hand, the system is understaffed and underfunded. Andrei knows several doctors and nurses from his university days who have moved to Western Europe for higher salaries, part of a well-documented exodus. Romania now has one of the lowest densities of doctors per capita in the EU, about 3 doctors per 1,000 people, ranking second to last in the Union. This shortage sometimes means long waits for specialists or crowded hospital wards. The livability index gives Bucharest a moderate healthcare score, certainly better than Damascus, but far below what places like the best city we will soon soon see in joy. After his checkup, Andre is relieved. It's nothing serious. His blood pressure is a bit high, but that's about it. Stepping out, he doesn't give it much thought how lucky he is to have accessible healthcare, something Mohammed can only dream of. The same goes for the education that's shaped Andre's life. Romania's education system has strengths and weaknesses, but Andre was fortunate to attend a decent public high school where teachers pushed him to succeed. In Andre's personal story, education was his ticket to a stable job and a future that perhaps his parents, who grew up under communism, could only dream of. Now in his early 30s, he sometimes considers going abroad for a master's degree or for more international exposure, but he also feels a loyalty to improve things at home. When he hears about the brain drain of young talent, he's torn. Many of his brightest classmates have left for Paris, London, or Berlin. He stayed, hoping to be part of Romania's gradual improvement. And indeed, things are improving. The government recently increased teacher salaries slightly after nationwide strikes, and new schools are being built in some suburbs. These small steps don't make headlines globally, but they contribute to Bucharest's slow climb in livability rankings. However, Bucharest lags behind other European capitals in green space. On average, a resident here has access to only 9 to 10 square meters of green space each, whereas in the best city on earth, it's around 70 square meters per person. Environmental issues also pop up in winter, when air pollution spikes due to the traffic and the use of old heating systems. While Bucharest has some great cultural offerings and decent climate, they struggle with pollution and they lack the polished environment of wealthier cities. Bucharest in his lifetime has transformed from a bleak post-communist city to a bustling European capital with malls, business districts, and a blend of historical charm and modern chaos. It's far from perfect, but it is home. As we know, Bucharest is average, and that sounds about right to Andre. It's a city where things work, but could work much better, where you can build a life, yet often dream of how things could be much better. He doesn't give it much thought that there are people out there who have it much worse than him. He instead aspires to the quality of life of the best city
That's
on
a tough
earth,
decision to
Vienna.
make. You don't want to leave your home country in hopes of it getting better, but then you're seeing a lot of your friends who are, establishing themselves outside, thriving. So it's like an interesting decision to make for an individual to choose to stay to watch your country grow.
Meet Lucas. He resides here,
Oh,
and as dawn
Lucas, hi
breaks in
Lucas.
Vienna with a gentle golden light spilling over the elegant facades of the Innere Stadt, Lucas steps out of his
Vienna-
apartment into a
Vienna
tidy cobblestone
It's
lane.
very,
He
very,
lives
very, very, very expensive to
Yeah,
live.
it's expensive.
in Leopoldstadt, a district known for sleek
Well, I guess it's considered best city on earth, though. I don't.
parks and quiet residential squares just across the Danube Canal from the historic city center. The air is crisp and unpolluted. Lucas consistently enjoys good air quality and plenty of greenery. In fact, almost half of Vienna's area is composed of green spaces like parks and forests. Lucas feels this in his everyday. His morning walk to the U-Bahn, what you might think of as the metro station, takes him through a small park where he often hears birds chirping and sees mothers pushing strollers in the street. The contrast with Andre's and Mohammed's environments is immense. Vienna's urban planning and infrastructure are designed for comfort and efficiency. It's no wonder that Vienna has been named the world's most livable city multiple times in a row. On his way to
Wow.
work,
Yes,
Lucas grabs
really?
a quick melange,
Wow.
a Viennese
Wow.
coffee. The fact that he can afford this little luxury without worry speaks to the economic stability around him. He works as an architect at a firm in the city center. To get there's no need for a car. He actually doesn't even own one. Public transport in Vienna is world class, and he, like roughly half the city's residents, has an annual transit pass. It's 365 euros for a year, equating to €1 per day. It's a steal. The tram arrives
Wow,
exactly
that
on
is a
schedule,
steal.
gliding smoothly along rails embedded in the clean streets.
It tells
As the
you
tram
to go out and just.
Yeah, not bad price.
Mhm.
Yeah,
But
three-
maybe to go out, the price is still quite high.
No, but I'm just saying, like, if you don't own the car, so your
Mhm.
commute cost a month is just 30 euros. So wherever you want to go, it doesn't change. You don't have to think, oh, okay, I'm gonna have to pay gas, or
Does it rain a lot?
I'm not sure of the climate.
crosses into the first district. Lucas gazes out at the city's architectural splendor. Baroque buildings, museums, and the State Opera House, all impeccably maintained. He could step off and in a few minutes be at a museum or a historic cafe if he wanted. Vienna's commitment to culture and the environment is evident in these well-preserved streets and public spaces. The city offers over 100 museums, countless galleries, theaters, and an opera season that draws enthusiasts from around the world. This is important for a well-functioning, livable city because if you don't have culture, it's a lot more boring to live there. But in terms of the public transit, it is so extensive and efficient, it's deeply trusted by everyone, including Lucas. A recent survey showed 91% of Vienna's residents are satisfied with their public transport, the highest in Europe. The stations are clean, safe, and the network of U-Bahn, Subways, trams, and buses can get you virtually anywhere in the city quickly. Even late at night, Lucas feels secure taking the metro home. Roads, utilities, and public services here tend to run like clockwork. Water from the tap is high quality, the lights never flicker, and potholes are a rarity. The infrastructure pillar is where Vienna shines, with a perfect 100 out of 100 score, meaning everything from transport to telecommunications is top-notch,
100?
world-class quality. Lucas experiences this in small ways in his everyday life. High-speed internet in his apartment with no downtime, bike lanes that are well maintained for his weekend cycling, and a recycling system so efficient that the city is exceptionally clean for its size. As an architect, he's proud that the city invests in smart urban planning. New
Lucas
housing
is a
projects must
bachelor.
include green spaces, public
I
transit
don't hear
access, and
Lucas
energy
have no family to watch over. Lucas living in peace.
efficient design, which should be a requirement for any city. Vienna's infrastructure is continually updated to meet modern needs, which is necessary to stay at the top, which Vienna has done for so long. In terms of stability, Vienna's stability score is at the maximum level of 100 of 100. For Lucas, that means he
Wow.
doesn't worry about personal safety or political unrest, something Mohammed can only dream of. He feels comfortable walking anywhere in the city at any hour. Of course, like any other big city, Vienna has some petty crime, but police are trusted and responsive. Lucas reads news of conflicts and crisis elsewhere and doesn't really reflect much on how fortunate he is to be in a corner of the world untouched by such turmoil. But what would a safe city be worth if it didn't include healthy citizens? Well, Austria has universal healthcare, which means if Lucas ever feels ill, he can visit a doctor without financial worry. It shouldn't come as a surprise by now, but Vienna's healthcare score is a perfect 100 as well. In practical terms, this means life expectancy
I mean,
is
the
high
best
here,
city,
and
I
people
think,
trust the system.
I guess it is 100. I didn't think it was
Everything
possible to
should be 100.
achieve 100.
Yeah, I think everything should be 100.
Preventative care is a norm here. Lucas goes for his annual checkups diligently, and his health insurance, which is state-run, even covers a comprehensive preventative health program, which is so smart of Austria to do. It's something other countries and cities should take note of. It's pretty simple math. If you catch a disease early, you can for the most part get rid of it much more easily than if you had waited for the patient to show symptoms before treating them, which in the end means less money spent on healthcare in the long run and longer living and healthier citizens. But it gets better. Lucas is also a product of Vienna's strong education system. In Vienna, education is free, or at least very low cost for the most part from primary school through university, and the quality is consistently high. The city's universities attract international students and rank among Europe's best. Vienna has a perfect score in education too, and Lucas's experience explains why. In school, he never had to worry about outdated textbooks or teacher shortages. Class sizes were reasonably sized, and extracurricular opportunities, music, sports, clubs were plenty. At university, he had access to cutting-edge labs and even got a scholarship for a semester abroad. Now, as a parent, he's beginning to engage with the education system from a new angle. His toddler will soon attend one of the city's many affordable childcare centers,
does
knowing
have
that
family.
whichever path they choose, his
Aww.
son will receive a quality education. It enables him and his wife to plan their careers and life without the anxiety of their kids not getting a good education, something that Mohammed grapples with every single day. Even the fact that Vienna has relatively affordable housing, thanks to extensive social housing programs by the city, means Lucas and his peers don't feel as squeezed by rent as residents of other global cities do. This broad support for a high quality of life, from housing to parks to cultural subsidies, is a hallmark of Vienna. It's why the city not only tops livability indexes, but also regularly surveys as having high subjective well-being amongst its residents. As Lucas walks the last few blocks home after work, under the streets lined with trees and elegant lampposts, he appreciates the almost storybook quality of his city. He lives in a place many others could only dream of and would consider a dream
Wow.
utopian city, and the night is so still he can hear his own footsteps echo slightly. 3 men, 3 cities, 3 realities. Mohammed, Andrei, and Lucas live very different lives. Lives the cities they were born and raised in have facilitated and decided. It's not the fault of Mohammed or Andrei that their cities aren't perfect like Lucas's Vienna. Life is unfair, and their stories reflect that reality. Okay, thanks for watching. I just have one last thing that I need to show you guys. This has been in the works for months now, so I'm really excited to show you. I don't know if you've noticed, but right now there's something on the wall that wasn't there before. And this is, let me bring this with me. This is a map poster of New York City. It's really cool because it has these details of some shading, and I really like that. I've made this poster store with different kinds of posters. This is just this.
He wanted to
Commercial.
show us our poster. Okay.
Commercial, okay.
Can I see the comments?
Mm-hmm. Great video. I'm from Vienna, and Imo, one of the most important aspects of the city is the enormous amounts of trash bins. There's literally no spot in the city where you can look around and find no bin. Therefore, it is very clean because the next bin is always just a few steps away. I have not seen this in any other city so far. I feel like Khartoum's gonna be worse than Damascus now. It's a capital city that's lost its capital status to Port Sudan after the UAE's rebel militia captured a large part of it. The government has recently managed to claw most of it back, but not so much city has been destroyed. Where's Gotham?
Ooh.
Greetings from
Wow.
Vienna.
Wow, that's really cool. Very interesting.
Mm.
Guys, of course, let us know your thoughts. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Join the Discord. And as always, share as much kindness as possible.